Police and Prisons Civil Rights Union is accusing police station commanders of flouting COVID-19 regulations. It's now threatening to take legal action against them, saying they're responsible for the spike in COVID-19 cases in the criminal justice cluster. Correctional services account for over 4,000 COVID-19 cases, while a handful of police stations have been closed due to COVID-19 infections. For more on this, I'm now joined by Popcru spokesperson Richard Mamabolo. Richard, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Before we talk about what action you want to take, I just want you to give us a few examples here, because you're saying provincial commissioners and station commanders are flouting regulations and putting their interests before the interests of the force. How? And give us some examples, please.
Yes, indeed, that is the case. We've had many reports of incidents where, for example, there would be station commanders refusing members to obviously self-quarantine on the basis that they had not obviously produced certified information that they are indeed positive. We've also heard of instances where members are threatened of leave without pay, and most of them request to come back to work before they are even recovered. That is because I think you would know that the SAPS and DCS are understaffed. So the concerns of these commanders are to ensure that service goes ahead, despite the fact that members might not be healthy. So those are some of the instances that have been seen. Yet again, we've got a steering committee which we participate in on an advisory role, and obviously to monitor that they comply with the regulations. When regulations are taken at that level, they are supposed to be filtered down to all structures. So these commanders have not been following those regulations, and there has not been any form of recourse from the steering committee in ensuring that they do follow all these prescriptions. That has seen a lot of increases in the virus.
Sorry, Richard, I just want to interrupt you there for 1 second, because one of the things you mentioned is interesting for me, because you said that some of the station commanders are not allowing some of the policemen to go on leave if they don't, or go on into quarantine if they don't show evidence that they are actually positive in terms of COVID-19. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
No, in fact, it's when a member is found to have been infected, what would happen is that they obviously need to leave the premises. But as well, there are contacts who would perhaps have been contaminated with the virus, and some of these instances are what leads to having a large number of groups being infected. So they do not obviously deal with such matters. But as well, members who have to be self-isolated for a period of 2 weeks, it's now 10 days. Some of them are called back to work to come and continue working. And in those instances, that's when a lot of other members do get infected. So there are set regulations which are supposed to be abided by, yet we see these station commanders flouting most of them. So that is what has actually increased the numbers of infections within our police stations and correctional centers. So we think that what should be done is that whatever decisions are taken at the steering committee levels should be abided by fully. So that is something that is not done currently, and that is why we've seen a huge rise in the number of infections.
So you're threatening legal action. What do you aim to do?
We are not threatening legal action. We are actually taking legal action. We know that in the Western Cape there has been some actions taken, because part of the reasons why we think that the numbers are increasing is because of the recklessness of these station commanders. They care more about ensuring that they preserve their dignity. They are seen to be working, yet this is at the compromise of members. So if we are to let the state of affairs continue as it currently is, we will probably sooner or later have all our police officers being infected with the virus, and that would obviously not augur well with the kind of service delivery we want to ensure for our members, for our populace actually.
You're 100% correct about that, but how do you know that your police officers are being infected in the stations or on duty? Because COVID-19 is really showing us that it's affecting the communities as a whole.
Look, when there are prescripts that are clearly stated about how you would need, you cannot have people who are infected being on duty, because they do affect their colleagues. I think one of the things that has been happening has been that, for example, people working a similar shift, that the containment has been rife in that regard. The cars that police use, whenever the shift ends, they are not obviously they do not obviously clean them to a satisfactory level, and then when the next shift comes in, some of them do get infected. So it's a matter of actually following the prescripts and whatever else that would obviously ensure that members keep safe. Those are things that we feel that they should be looked into according to what the steering committee has obviously prescribed.
All right, thank you so much for speaking with us, Richard Mamabolo, who is the Popcru spokesperson, as they are claiming that police station commanders are flouting COVID-19 regulations.